Welcome to episode 16. Nope, 17. I think it's 17. Yeah, 17. Welcome to episode 17 of TeflonStoic, Hardcore WoW, in which we play Hardcore WoW with our paladin here to ideally level 60. And we learn about Roman Stoicism. I was asked if these rays of light are a filter. They're not. They are a window, but it's got a pretty cool Holy Paladin view. I like it. All right, let's get on it.
These other things may seem to fit with what is better in a small way, but they quickly take control and lead us away. So I say, simply and freely, choose the better and stick to it. What is useful is the better. If it is useful to you as a rational being, then keep to it. But if it is only useful to you as an animal, say so, and stick to your judgment without arrogance. Just be sure that you make this decision carefully. Never consider anything good for yourself that would force you to break a promise, lose your self-respect, hate anyone, be suspicious, curse, act dishonestly, or desire anything that requires secrecy. The person who puts their intelligence, spirit, and worship of what is excellent above everything else does not act tragically, does not groan, and does not need either solitude or large crowds. Most importantly, they live without either chasing after or running away from death. Whether they live with the soul inside their body for a long time or a short time, they do not care at all. Even if they must leave immediately, they will do so as readily as they would perform any other action that can be done with decency and order. Throughout life, they only make sure that their thoughts do not stray from what belongs to an intelligent animal and a member of a community. In the mind of someone who is disciplined and pure, you will find no corruption, no festering wounds, and no sores that are just covered up. Their life does not feel incomplete when fate comes for them, just as an actor does not leave the stage before finishing the play. There is nothing servile, fake, overly attached, or detached in them, nothing that deserves blame, and nothing that seeks to hide. Respect the ability that forms your opinions. Everything depends on whether your opinions agree with the nature and constitution of a rational being. This ability promises freedom from rash judgments, friendship towards others, and obedience to the gods. Therefore, hold on to these few things and let go of everything else. Remember that every person lives only in the present moment, which is a small, indivisible point in time, and that the rest of their life is either in the past or uncertain. The time each person lives is short. The part of the earth where they live is small, and even the longest-lasting fame is short and will be passed on by people who will soon die and who do not even know themselves, much less someone who died long ago. To the aids that have been mentioned, add this one. Make for yourself a clear description of whatever comes to your mind, so that you can see clearly what kind of thing it is in its true form, completely and entirely, and tell yourself its proper name, the name of its parts, and what it will become. Nothing is more effective in elevating the mind than being able to examine each thing you encounter in life methodically and truthfully. Always look at things in a way that allows you to see what kind of universe this is, what role everything plays in it, what value everything has for the whole, and what value it has for a person who is a citizen of the highest city, of which all other cities are like families. Consider what each thing is, what it is made of, how long it will last, and what virtue you need to face it, such as gentleness, courage, truthfulness, loyalty, simplicity, or contentment. On every occasion, a person should say, "This comes from God," or "This is according to the plan of destiny," or This is from someone who is like me, a relative, but who does not know what is truly natural. But I know, and for this reason I behave towards them with kindness and justice, following the natural law of fellowship. At the same time, in things that are indifferent, I try to determine their true value. If you work on what is in front of you, following right reason seriously, vigorously, calmly, and without letting anything distract you, while keeping your divine part pure, as if you had to give it back immediately, if you hold on to this, expecting nothing, fearing nothing, and being satisfied with your present actions according to nature, and if you speak the truth in every word and action, you will live happily, and no one can prevent this. Just as doctors always have their instruments and knives ready for emergencies, you should always have principles ready for understanding both divine and human things, and for doing everything, even the smallest task, with an awareness of the bond that unites the divine and human. You will not do anything well that belongs to humans without also referring to the divine, and the same is true in reverse. No longer wander aimlessly. You will not read your own memoirs, nor the acts of the ancient Romans and Greeks, nor the selections from books that you were saving for old age. Hurry then to the goal before you, and, abandoning idle hopes, help yourself if you care for yourself while it is still possible. They do not know how many things are signified by the words stealing, sowing, buying, staying quiet, or seeing what needs to be done. For this is not done by the eyes.
I can tell you this, it's the trogs. Recently, just before the surface within the site, we had uncovered a large number of strange carved idols.
Hey Stuart, what's up?
Didn't have the
Vision.
I'm back.
Body, soul, and mind. The body perceives through the senses. The soul has desires.
All right,
and the mind
we have to get
has
carved stone
principles.
idols from
Receiving
the
sensory impressions is something even
bad guys
animals
here.
do. Being driven by desires is common to both wild beasts and men who
by
have
the
become
stone
weak,
splitter digger.
and to tyrants like Phalaris and Nero. Having the mind to guide what seems appropriate is also found in those who do not believe in the gods, betray their country, and commit immoral acts in secret. If everything else I mentioned is shared by many, then what remains unique to a good person is being pleased and content with what happens, and with what the fates assign to them, not polluting the divine spirit within, and not disturbing it with a flood of images. Instead, they should keep it calm, following it obediently as a god, never saying anything untrue or doing anything
Call me an idol.
unjust.
Those idols are gross
If
looking.
everyone doubts that this person lives a simple, modest, and content
Get her
life,
Stammy
he is
boost
not
here.
angry with them, nor does he stray from the path that leads to the end of life, which he should reach pure, calm, ready to leave, and in complete acceptance of his fate. Book 4. The ruling part within us, when aligned with nature, adapts easily to whatever happens and is presented to us. It doesn't need specific materials, but works toward its purpose under certain conditions. It creates its own path from obstacles, just as fire consumes what falls into it, making it grow stronger and higher. Let every action have a purpose and align with the perfect principles of the art of life. People seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, by the sea, or in the
I
mountains.
didn't kill that one.
And you might desire such
I didn't
things
kill
too.
that one either.
But this is common thinking, for you can retreat into yourself anytime you choose. Nowhere can a person find more quiet or freedom from trouble than within his own soul, especially when he has thoughts that bring immediate tranquility. I affirm that tranquility is nothing more than the proper ordering of the mind. Constantly give yourself this retreat
So
and
gross
renew
looking.
yourself. Let your guiding
Some
principles be
fertility
brief
idol.
and fundamental, so they can cleanse your soul and free you from discontent with the world. What are you upset about? Is it because of the bad behavior of others? Remember this: rational creatures are made to help each other, and being patient with others is part of being just. People don't do wrong on purpose. Think about how many
My
people have
inventory's full
fought,
already.
hated, and hurt each other, only to end up dead and turn to ashes. So calm yourself. Or maybe you're unhappy with what life has given you. Then remember this choice. Either there is a higher plan guiding everything, or everything happens by chance. Or think about the arguments that prove the world is like a big community, and find peace in that.
Do a
But
little
maybe
disenchanting.
physical things still bother you. In that case, remember that your mind is separate from the body, whether the body is calm or troubled. Once your mind realizes its own power, it doesn't need to be affected by the body. Also, think about everything you've learned about dealing with pain and pleasure, and find peace. Or maybe you're worried about fame. Think about how quickly people forget everything, and how endless time stretches out before and after us. Fame is empty, and the opinions of those who praise you are often unreliable. The space in which people praise you is so small, and the people who do it are so few and insignificant. So retreat into your own mind and be free. Don't let yourself be distracted or stressed. Look at things as a human being, as a citizen, and as someone who is mortal. Keep two ideas in mind. First, that things outside of you don't really touch your soul. They remain outside and can't move you unless you let them. Second, that all the things you see are constantly changing and will soon be gone. Remember how many changes you've already seen. The universe is always changing, and life is shaped by our opinions. If our minds are shared, then so is the reason that makes us rational beings. If that's true, then the reason that tells us what to do and what not to do is also shared. If that's true, then we share a common law. If that's true, then we are fellow citizens. If that's true, then we are part of a community. And if that's true, then the world is like a single city. What other community could all humans be members of? And from this shared community comes our very mind, our reason, and our sense of law. Where else could they come from? Just as my body comes from the earth, and the water in me comes from some source, and the heat in me from another, so too my mind must come from some source. Death is just like birth, a mystery of nature. It's the same elements being combined and then separated. It's nothing to be ashamed of, because it's not unnatural for a rational being, and it's not against the reason we are made with. It's natural for certain people to act a certain way, and it's unavoidable. If you wish it were different, it's like wanting figs to stop producing juice. But remember that in a short time, both you and the person who bothers you will be dead, and soon after, not even your names will be remembered. If you take away your opinion that you've been hurt, then the hurt itself disappears. And if you take away the feeling that you've been harmed, then there is no harm. Whatever doesn't make a person worse in themselves doesn't make their life worse either. It can't hurt them from the outside or the inside. The nature of what is beneficial had to act this way. Think about it. Everything that happens, happens justly. If you look closely, you'll see this is true, not just in how events follow each other, but in the sense that everything happens as it should, as if someone were assigning each thing its place. So keep observing, and in whatever you do, aim to be good, and to act as a good person should in every situation. When someone wrongs you, don't see things the way they do or the way they want you to see them. Instead, see things as they truly are. Always keep these two principles ready. First, to do only what reason and fairness suggest is good for people. Second, to be willing to change your opinion if someone convinces you that you're wrong. But this change should only come from a clear understanding of what is just or beneficial, not just because it feels good or brings approval. Do you have reason? Yes, you do. So why not use it? If reason is doing its job, what else could you want? You have existed as part of the whole. You will disappear into what made you, but really, you will be taken back into the source that created everything. Many grains of incense are placed on the same altar. One burns away first, another later, but it doesn't matter. In just a few days, you could seem like a god to the people who now see you as an animal or a fool, if you return to your principles and the worship of reason. Don't act as if you're going to live for 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it's in your power, be good. Think about how much peace you gain when you don't worry about what your neighbor says, does, or thinks, but focus only on making sure your own actions are just and pure. Or, as Agathon said, don't look around at the bad behavior of others, but keep your path straight. If you're obsessed with posthumous fame, consider this. Everyone who remembers you will soon be dead too. Then those who come after them will also die, until all memory of you is extinguished. Even if people remember you forever, what does that matter to you? I don't mean just to the dead, but to the living. What's the point of praise, except if it has some practical benefit? By focusing on fame, you are rejecting the gift of nature and clinging to something else. Everything that is beautiful in itself and is complete in itself. Praise is not part of what makes it beautiful. Whether or not it's praised, it's neither better nor worse. This is true even of things commonly considered beautiful, like material objects or works of art. Something that is truly beautiful doesn't need anything else. Not more than law, not more than truth, not more than kindness or modesty. Which of these things becomes beautiful because it is praised, or is ruined by being blamed? Is an emerald less valuable if no one praises it? What about gold, ivory, purple, a lyre, a knife, a flower, or a bush? If souls continue to exist, how does the air hold all of them from the beginning of time? But how does the earth hold all bodies that have been buried since time began? Just as the earth eventually breaks down these bodies to make room for others, so too the air transforms souls, making room for new ones. This could be one explanation if we believe that souls live on. But we should also think about the number of animals eaten every day by us and other creatures. An enormous number, yet the earth still has room for them because they transform into blood and other elements. How do we seek the truth in this matter? By separating what is material from what is the cause of form. Don't let yourself be swept away. In every action, keep justice in mind. And in every thought, stick to what is certain. Everything that happens is in harmony with you, O universe. Nothing is too early or too late if it happens at the right time for you. Everything that comes to me is like fruit from your seasons, O nature. From you come all things. In you are all things. And to you, all things return. The poet says, "Dear city of Cecrops," and should you not say, "Dear city of Zeus"? Keep yourself occupied with few things, says the philosopher, if you want to be calm. But consider if it wouldn't be better to do only what is necessary, what reason and the social nature of humans demand. and to do it in the way that reason requires. This brings both the peace that comes from doing good and the peace that comes from doing few things. Most of what we say and do is unnecessary. If you can remove unnecessary things, you will have more time and less stress. So on every occasion, ask yourself, is this one of the unnecessary things? And don't just remove unnecessary actions, but unnecessary thoughts too, so that unnecessary actions won't follow. Try living the life of a good person, someone who is satisfied with their place in the world and with their own just actions and kind disposition. Have you seen these things? Then look again. Don't upset yourself. Be simple. Does someone do wrong? They do wrong to themselves. Has something happened to you? Well, everything that happens has been arranged by the universe from the beginning and has been given to you as part of your destiny. In short, life is short. Use the present moment wisely, with reason and justice. Be calm and relaxed. Either the universe is well organized, or it's a chaotic mix of elements, but still a universe. But can there be order within you if there is disorder in the whole? Especially when all things are connected and influence each other. A black character, a weak character, a stubborn character, a beastly character, a childish character, a foolish character, a false character, a cruel character, a deceitful character, a tyrannical character. If someone doesn't understand what's in the universe, they are a stranger in it. If they don't understand what's happening in it, they are also a stranger. They are like someone running away if they reject social reason. They are blind if they close their mind's eye. They are poor if they depend on others and don't have everything they need within themselves. They are a tumor on the universe if they separate themselves from the common nature through dissatisfaction with what happens, because the same nature produces everything, including them. They are torn away from the community if they separate their soul from the soul of all rational beings, which is one. One philosopher has no shirt, another has no book. Here is someone else who is half naked. I have no bread, he says, but I stick to reason. But I have all the food of learning, and yet I am not faithful. Love the art you have learned, and take comfort in it. Go through the rest of your life with sincere commitment to the gods, never making yourself a tyrant or a slave to anyone. Consider, for example, the time of Vespasian. You will see the same things happening. People marrying, having children, getting sick, dying, fighting, feasting, trading, farming, flattering, being arrogant, suspecting others, plotting, wishing for others to die, complaining about their lot, falling in love, gathering wealth, wanting political power. And now that life is gone. Look at the time of Trajan. Again, the same things happened, and that life too is gone. Similarly, look at the histories of other times and nations, and see how many lives, after much effort, quickly fell apart and returned to the elements. But most importantly, remember those you have known yourself, who distracted themselves with empty things and neglected to live according to their true nature, to hold on to it firmly and find contentment in it. And remember that the attention you give to each action should be in proportion to its importance. This way, you won't be dissatisfied if you only devote as much time as necessary to less important matters. Words that were common long ago are now outdated, and so too are the names of people who were once famous, like Camillus, Caeso, Volessus, Dentatus, and later Scipio and Cato, then Augustus, and then Hadrian and Antoninus. All things quickly fade and turn into mere stories, and complete oblivion soon buries them. And I'm talking about those who shone with great brilliance. For the rest, as soon as they breathe their last, they are gone, and no one talks about them. And in the end, what is even an eternal memory? It's nothing. So what should we focus on? Only this: just thoughts, social actions, honest words, and a disposition that gladly accepts everything that happens as necessary, understandable, and coming from a reasonable source. Willingly submit yourself to Clotho, one of the Fates, allowing her to spin your thread into whatever she chooses. Everything is fleeting, both the memory of things and the things themselves. Constantly observe how everything changes, and get used to the idea that the universe loves nothing more than to change old things into new ones. Everything that exists is like a seed of what will come next. But you might be thinking only of seeds that are planted in the earth or a womb. That's a very simple way of thinking. You will soon die, and you are not yet calm, free from disturbances, unafraid of external harm, kind to all people, or convinced that acting justly is the only wisdom. Look into the minds of others, even those who are wise, and see what they
get some
avoid
mountain
and
buzzards.
what they pursue. What is evil to you does not exist in the mind of another, nor in any change of your body. Where is it then? It is in your own mind, in the part that forms opinions about what is evil. Let this part not form such opinions, and all will be well. Even if your body is hurt, burned, or decays, let the part of you that judges these things remain calm. It should understand that nothing is truly bad or good that can happen equally to both bad and good people. For what happens equally to those who live according to nature and those who live against nature is neither in line with nature nor against it. Always think of the universe as one living being, made of one substance and one soul. Notice how everything is connected to one understanding, how everything works together, and how all things are part of everything else. Observe the continuous weaving of the threads and the interconnection of the web. You are a small soul carrying a dead body, as Epictetus used to say. It's not bad for things to change, and it's not good for things to stay the same because of change. Time is like a river of events, a powerful stream. As soon as one thing appears, it is swept away, and another takes its place, and this too will be carried away. Everything that happens is as natural and expected as roses in spring, and the fruit in summer, like disease, death, slander, and betrayal, and all the things that either delight or trouble foolish people. In the chain of events, those that come after always fit with those that came before. This chain is not just a list of disconnected things, but a rational connection. Just as everything that exists is harmoniously arranged, so too do the things that happen show a wonderful relationship. Always remember Heraclitus' saying that the death of earth is to become water, the death of water is to become air, and the death of air is to become fire, and vice versa. Remember also that people forget where the path leads, and that they quarrel with the reason that governs the universe, even though they interact with it constantly. They find everyday things surprising, but we should not act and speak as if we were asleep, even though in sleep we seem to act and speak. We should not simply accept what we are taught, like children with their parents. If a god told you that you would die tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, you wouldn't care much whether it was the third day or the next day, unless you were extremely fearful because the difference is so small. So think it's no big deal to die after however many years you can name, rather than tomorrow. Think constantly about how many doctors have died after worrying about their patients. How many astrologers have died after predicting the deaths of others? How many philosophers have died after debating endlessly about death or immortality? How many heroes have died after killing thousands? How many tyrants have died after using their power over life and death with cruelty, as if they were immortal? And think about how many cities are now completely gone, like Hellas, Pompeii, Herculaneum, and countless others. Consider all the people you've known, one after another. One man buries another, and then he is buried, and all this happens in a short time. The conclusion is that you should always see human life as brief and of little value. Yesterday, you were just a drop of semen. Tomorrow, you'll be a mummy or ashes. So live according to nature, and when your time comes, leave life content, like an olive that falls when it's ripe, blessing the earth that bore it, and thanking the tree on which it grew. Be like the rocky headland against which the waves constantly break. It stands firm and calms the fury of the water around it. You might think it's my bad luck that this happened to me, but you should say it's my good luck that although this happened to me, I can endure it without pain, without being crushed by the present or afraid of the future. Because something like this could happen to anyone, but not everyone could bear it without pain. So why consider the event more of a misfortune than your ability to endure it a good fortune? And would you call anything a misfortune for a person that isn't a deviation from human nature? And does something seem to you to be a deviation from human nature if it doesn't go against what human nature intends? Well, you know what the purpose of nature is. So will this thing that has happened stop you from being just, courageous, self-controlled, wise, careful in your decisions, truthful, honorable, and free, or from having all the qualities that, when combined, fulfill human nature? So in any situation that might make you sad, remember this principle. This is not a misfortune, but to bear it well is good fortune.
Make a blood sausage.
It's a simple but effective way to lessen your fear of death by thinking about those who clung to life for a long time. What did they gain compared to those who died young? In the end, they all lie in their graves, like Caedicianus, Fabius, Julianus, Lepidus, and all the others who attended many funerals and then had their own. The time we have to live is short. We drag it out with such effort, in poor company, in weak bodies. So don't consider life a great thing. Look at the endless time behind you and the infinity ahead of you. In this vastness, what's the difference between someone who lives for 3 days and someone who lives for 3 generations? Always take the shortest path. And the shortest path is the natural one. Do and say everything according to the soundest reason. For such a purpose frees a person from trouble, from conflict, and from all artifice and display. Book 5. When you wake up in the morning and don't feel like getting up, remind yourself, I'm getting up to do the work of a human being.
Boars.
So why am I unhappy if I'm about to do what I was made for? The purpose for which I was brought into the world? Or was I made just to stay in bed and keep warm? But staying in bed feels so nice. Were you made to enjoy comfort? Or were you made for action and effort? Don't you see how little plants, birds, ants, spiders, and bees all work together to make the world what it is? And yet you're unwilling to do the work of a human being and hurry to do what's natural to you. But we need to rest too. Yes, rest is necessary, but nature has set limits to this, just like with eating and drinking, and yet you often go beyond these limits, beyond what's enough. But in your actions, you stop short of what you could do. This means you don't really love yourself. Because if you did, you would love your nature and its purpose. Other people who love their work push themselves to the point of neglecting washing and eating. But you value your own nature less than a craftsman values his craft, or a dancer values dancing, or a lover of money values his wealth, or a person who loves fame values his reputation. Such people, when they are passionate about something, will skip meals and sleep rather than stop perfecting what they care about. But do you see the acts that benefit society as less important and less deserving of your effort? It's easy to push away or erase any troubling or inappropriate thoughts and immediately find calm. Consider any word or action that aligns with nature to be appropriate for you. Don't let criticism or the opinions of others make you doubt yourself. If something is good to do or say, don't consider it beneath you. Others have their own principles and follow their own paths. Don't be distracted by them. Stay on your path, which is aligned with both your nature and the universal nature. They are one and the same. I continue through life according to nature until I fall and rest, breathing my last breath into the air from which I draw it daily, and returning to the earth that gave my father his seed, my mother her blood, and my nurse her milk. The earth that has fed and watered me for so many years, the earth that bears my footsteps and endures all the ways I use and abuse it. People may not admire you for your intellect, so be it. But there are many other qualities you can't say you lack by nature. So show those virtues that are entirely within your power. Honesty, dignity, hard work, self-discipline, contentment with what you have, kindness, openness, simplicity, moderation, and magnanimity. Don't you see how many qualities you can display without needing any special talent? And yet you still choose to fall short? Or do you think your lack of natural talent forces you to complain, to be stingy, to flatter, to criticize your own body, to try to please others, to boast, or to let your mind be so restless? No, by the gods, it does not. You could have freed yourself from these things long ago. If you are slow to understand, work on it. Don't ignore it or take pleasure in your dullness. Some people, when they do a favor for someone else, expect to be thanked. Others don't expect thanks, but still think of the other person as owing them something, and they remember what they've done. A third kind doesn't even think about what they've done, just like a vine that produces grapes and expects nothing more after it's borne its fruit. Just like a horse that runs, a dog that hunts, or a bee that makes honey. A person who does a good deed doesn't call for others to notice, but moves on to the next good deed, just as a vine moves on to bear grapes again in its season. So you should aim to be like those who are almost unaware of the good they do. But you might say, shouldn't I be aware of my actions? Isn't it part of being a social creature to know when I'm acting in a social way, and to want others to recognize it too?
That's
true,
dangerous.
but you're misunderstanding my point.
That's dangerous.
If you focus on understanding this, you won't fall into the trap I mentioned before. Even those who misunderstand what I'm saying do so because of a seemingly logical reason. But if you want to understand, don't worry that this will make you neglect your social duties. The Athenians prayed, "Rain, rain, O dear Zeus, on the ploughed field." Cold baths, or going barefoot to someone. We should think of nature as prescribing disease, injury, loss, or anything else of the kind. In the first case, prescribed means that it was ordered for the person's health. In the second, it means that what happens to each person is arranged as part of their destiny. We talk about things fitting, just as masons say that fit together in corners or patches when they join them in a small way. In the whole of the universe, there is is one body. As all bodies combine to make one harmonious whole, so all causes combine to make one harmonious destiny. Even those who don't know much can sense what I mean. They say it was fate that brought this on him. So if brought, then also prescribed. So let's accept these things as we accept Asclepius's prescriptions, even if some of them are because you should take the same view of what happens to you as you should and welcome everything that happens, even if it seems hard, because it contributes to the health of the universe and the prosperity of Zeus. He wouldn't bring anything upon anyone unless it also benefited the whole, just as no natural principle brings anything unsuitable to what it governs. So there are two reasons you should be content with what happens to you. One, because it was meant for you and is related to you, like a thread of destiny spun for you from the very beginning. The other, because what happens to each individual contributes to the welfare, perfection, and even the very continuity of what governs the universe. For the integrity of the whole is compromised if you cut off even the smallest part of its connection and continuity, whether of its parts or its causes. And you do cut something off when you fret about your lot. In a sense, this is an act of destruction. Don't be disheartened or impatient if you don't succeed in doing everything according to the right principles. If you stumble, get back up, and be glad if most of your actions align with human nature, and love what you return to. Don't return to philosophy like a schoolboy returning to his teacher, but like a person with sore eyes returning to his sponge and ointment, or someone else returning to their bandage or compress. In this way, you'll show that following reason isn't a burden, but a relief. Remember, philosophy requires only what your
I have the
nature
finest
requires.
wares in the land.
But you wanted something unnatural. And what
See you
could be
soon.
more pleasant than following your nature? This is how pleasure deceives us. But think whether there isn't something more pleasant in magnanimity, generosity, simplicity, consideration, or piety. And what could be more pleasant than wisdom itself, when you think of the security and peace it brings through understanding and knowledge? Things are so wrapped up that several philosophers have thought them completely beyond understanding, and even the Stoics find them difficult. Every agreement we give to our perceptions is open to error. No one is infallible.
I've the finest wires in the land.
Objects of our experience, how short-lived they are, how poor in quality. Even a criminal, a prostitute, or a thief could own them. Look also at the character of the people around you. It's hard to put up even with the best of them,
Be good.
let alone endure yourself. In all this darkness and filth, with everything constantly changing and passing away, what could
Hunter's
possibly
Challenge.
be worth
Need that
valuing
quest.
or pursuing? Instead, we should comfort ourselves with the thought of natural release, not being impatient for it.
Adventurer Raft, is it? I can tell you're bursting with pride over completing the first test, HM. As I told you before, it's no large feat. You should try your hand at boar hunting. Trust me, this is no Coldridge Valley boar hunt, so you'd best have a care with them. I'll give you just 12 minutes this time. Don't...
Oh well.
What am I using my soul for right now? I must ask myself this on every occasion. I must examine myself and ask, what kind of soul do I have right now? Is it like that of a child, a young man, a woman, a tyrant, a domestic animal, or a wild beast? We can understand what most people consider to be good by looking at their behavior. If someone truly valued qualities like wisdom, self-control, justice, and courage, they wouldn't be interested in anything that didn't align with those values. But if someone values what most people think is good, they'll readily agree with the comic writer who said that some people have so many goods, they have no room to relieve themselves. This difference is obvious to most people. Otherwise, the saying wouldn't be offensive or rejected when applied to real goods. But we accept it when it's about wealth, luxury, and fame. I'm made up of form and matter, and neither will disappear into nothingness, just as neither came into existence out of nothing. So every part of me will change and become some other part of the universe, and that part will change again into another part of the universe, and so on forever. The same process that brought me into existence also brought my parents into existence, and so on infinitely backward. Nothing prevents us from saying this, even if the universe follows definite cycles. Reason and philosophy are powers that are sufficient for themselves and their own actions. They move from their own first principles to the end they aim for, which is why these actions are called right actions. They proceed along the right path. You should ignore anything that isn't a part of your role as a human being. These things aren't required of you. They don't fit your nature or help you achieve your purpose. Moreover, if these things were truly good, it wouldn't be wrong to disdain them or resist them. Praise someone for not using them. If these things were truly good, the person who deprives themselves or tolerates being deprived of them wouldn't be a good person. The more a person deprives themselves of such things or tolerates their loss, the better they are. Your mind will take on the character of your most frequent thoughts, for the soul is guided by your thoughts. So dye your soul with a continuous series of thoughts like these. Wherever a person can live, they can live well. But you must live in a palace. Well then, you can live. Each thing is made for a purpose, and it moves forward. Its end lies in the direction in which it moves. And where its end is, there also is its advantage and good. The good for a rational creature is community. It has been shown above that we are born for community. Is it not clear that the inferior exists for the sake of the superior? But things that have life are superior to those without life, and those with reason are superior to those without. To seek what is impossible is madness, and it is impossible for bad people not to act according to their nature. Nothing happens to any person that they are not naturally equipped to endure. The same things happen to others, and either because they don't realize it, or because they show great spirit, they remain calm and unharmed. Isn't it strange that ignorance and arrogance can be stronger than wisdom? Things themselves don't touch the soul at all. They have no entry to the soul and can't move it. The soul alone moves itself and makes whatever judgments it sees fit about the things presented to it. In one respect, other people are the closest things to me because I must do good to them and tolerate them. But when some people obstruct my proper work, they become indifferent to me, no different than the sun, the wind, or a wild animal. These may impede some actions, but they don't impede my will or my disposition, which have the power to adapt and change. The mind converts and changes every hindrance to its activity into a help, so that what was once an obstacle becomes a furtherance to the work. Revere what is best in the universe, the power that uses all things and directs all things. Similarly, revere what is best in yourself, the power that uses everything else in you and governs your life. What doesn't harm the community
I just don't
doesn't
see it.
harm the citizen. Apply this rule in every situation where you think you've been harmed. If the community isn't harmed, neither am I. But if the community is harmed, you shouldn't be angry with the person who caused the harm. Show them where they went wrong. Think often of how quickly things pass by and disappear, both the things that are and the things that are produced. Existence is like a river in constant flow, with its actions always changing and its causes working in endless ways. Hardly anything stands still. And think of the vastness of the past and future in which all things vanish. How foolish it is then to be puffed up with ambition, to struggle and worry over things, or to be upset about them as if they were permanent or could trouble you for long. Think of the whole of existence, of which you are a tiny part. Think of the whole of time, of which you have been assigned a brief and fleeting moment. Think of destiny. What a small fraction of it are you. Another person wrongs me. What's it to me? Let them deal with their own actions and disposition. I now have what the universal nature has given me, and I do what my own nature requires me to do. Let the part of your soul that leads and governs stay undisturbed by the movements in the flesh, whether they are of pleasure or pain. Don't let it unite with them, but let it stay within its own bounds and limit those effects to their proper parts. But when these effects reach the mind, through the natural connection that exists in a unified body, you shouldn't resist the sensation, for it is natural. But don't let the ruling part of yourself add the judgment that the sensation is either good or bad. Live with the gods. And you live with the gods if you constantly show them that your soul is content with what is assigned to you, and that it does everything your daemon wishes, which Zeus has given to every person as a guardian and guide, a part of himself. This is every person's understanding and reason. Are you angry with someone whose armpits smell? Are you angry with someone whose breath is foul? What good will your anger do you? That's just the way his armpits or mouth are, and it's necessary that they produce such smells. But you might say, he has reason, and if he tries, he can realize where he's offending. Good for you if he does. And you have reason too. So use your rational faculty to stir his rational faculty. Show him his mistake. Correct him. If he listens, you'll cure him. And there's no need for anger. You can live your life here on Earth just as you intend to live when you've left it. But if people don't allow you to live as you wish, then leave life. But don't see it as a misfortune. The house is smoky, so I'm leaving it. Why think this is such a big deal? But as long as nothing like that drives me out, I stay. I am free, and no one can stop me from doing what I choose to do. And I choose to do what is in line with the nature of a rational and social being. The intelligence of the universe is social. It has made the lower things for the sake of the higher, and it has harmonized the higher with each other. You can see how it has arranged everything to fit together and work together, bringing the best things into unity. How have you behaved so far toward the gods, your parents, siblings, wife, children, teachers, tutors, friends, relatives, and servants? Have you followed the principle of do no harm with all of them? Remind yourself of all you've been through and how much you've endured. Your life story is complete. Your service is done. Think of how often you've seen beauty, disregarded pain, rejected glory, and been kind to those who were unkind to you. Why do unskilled and ignorant minds confuse those who have skill and knowledge? What kind of mind has true skill and knowledge? It's the mind that knows the beginning and the end, and understands the reason that governs all existence, guiding the whole through its appointed cycles for all eternity. Soon, very soon, you'll be ashes or a skeleton, just a name, or not even that. If you do have a name, it will be just a sound and an echo, extinction or transition to another state.
The Wildhammer dwarves might have fast steeds, but can those airy peaked griffins stand the heat of the Great Forge? I think not.
To practice tolerance and self-restraint, and as for everything beyond the limits of your body and breath, remember that it's neither yours nor in your control. You can always keep your life on the right path if you follow reason in your judgments and actions. Two things are common to the souls of all rational beings, both gods and humans. They are free from any external hindrance, and their good lies in just disposition and just actions, with these being the limit of their desire. If something isn't caused by my own wrongdoing, or if it isn't the result of any wrong done to me, and if it doesn't harm the community, then why should it trouble me? And what harm could it do to the community? Don't let other people's grief carry you away indiscriminately. Help them as best you can, and as the situation deserves, even if their grief is for the loss of something insignificant. But don't imagine their loss as any real harm. That's the wrong way to think. Instead, be like the old man in the play who reclaimed his foster child's favorite toy at the end, never forgetting that it was only a toy. So when you feel pity for others, remind yourself of what things are really worth. Yes, but these things are important to them. Is that any reason for you to join in their foolishness? There was a time when everything seemed to go my way, but fortune is what you make for yourself. And good fortune is having good inclinations, good impulses, and good actions. Book 6. The universe is made up of a substance that can be shaped and directed, and the reason behind it has no intention to do harm. There is no malice in it, and nothing it creates is done wrongly or with ill intent. Everything that exists is made according to this reason. If you're doing what you should be doing,
Bah!
it should
Iron Man's having trouble with the trogs. I wonder if he wants that blast powder to aid his digging, or to aid his efforts against the trog beasts. Well, either way, it's powder well spent. But what's strange is I sent him plenty of blast powder weeks ago. Wonder where it went. We'll need approval to get Iron Man more blast powder. You'll have to take his report to the Explorers League headquarters in Ironforge. Here's the report. Give it to Prospector Stormpike, and don't forget to duck after you deliver it. Stormpike is hot-headed, and he won't be happy to hear of Iron Man's slow progress at the site. You'll find Stormpike in the Assembly of Explorers.
The reason that governs everything knows its own nature, what it creates, and the material it uses.
Mark my words, you won't find faster griffins anywhere in the Eastern Kingdoms than the ones right here in Thelsamar.
Take joy and find peace in moving from one good action to another, keeping your thoughts on the divine. The mind is what wakes itself up, shapes itself, and decides how it wants to see everything that happens to it. Everything in the universe happens according to its nature. It couldn't happen according to anything else, whether something outside controls it, or it controls something within it. The universe is either a random mix of things, where everything is jumbled together and eventually falls apart, or it is a unified whole, with order and purpose. If it's the first, why do I care about anything? Why do I worry about anything other than the fact that I'll return to the Earth someday? And if it's the second, I should respect it, stay firm, and trust in the one who governs it all. When something upsets you, quickly return to your calm state. Don't stay out of harmony any longer than necessary. You'll master this more by constantly returning to it. If you had a stepmother and a mother at the same time, you'd pay attention to your stepmother, but you'd always go back to your mother. The court and philosophy should be like that to you. The court is your stepmother, and philosophy is your mother. Return to philosophy often, and rest in her. She will help you see the court's demands as bearable and make you bearable in the court. When we have meat before us and other types of food, we should recognize that what we are seeing is the dead body of a fish, the dead body of a bird, or the dead body of a horse. Similarly, when we look at Valerian wine, we should remember that it is nothing more than a little grape juice. And when we see a pearl, we should realize that it's just some sheep's wool dyed with the blood of a shellfish. These are the real impressions of what these things truly are. And when we see them in this way, we penetrate their real nature and understand them for what they truly are. In the same way, throughout our lives, we should act by revealing the true nature of things that seem most worthy of our approval, laying them bare, and examining their lack of value.
What can I do for
We
you?
should strip
Curse that
away
Iron
all
Man!
the words
I sent
that
him a
make
load
them
of
seem
iron!
grander than they are. Our
All right, thank you very much. Episode 17, TeflonStoic, Hardcore WoW, and Stoic Philosophy and Roman Virtue. Hope you learned something. Be good.